Since the start of history, there is evidence that societies have experimented with different forms of government based on economic, political, technological, and social changes. The Greeks experimented with monarchy, oligarchy, tyranny, and democracy. The Chinese faced a similar struggle and tried to use Confucianism, Taoism, and legalist philosophies to solve life's problems. Still today, we struggle to find the best economic and political system. Perhaps the correct answer is that it depends on the situation, time, and place. The reality is there is no perfect solution. This video goes over the Zhou Dynasty, the Warring States period, and how China used feudalism, Confucianism, Taoism, and legalism to create order in their society. First on the list is the Zhou Dynasty. The Zhou Dynasty was a line of Chinese leaders that ruled after the fall of the Shang Dynasty. The approximate date of the Zhou Dynasty is 1045 to 256 BCE. The Zhou originally came from northwestern China. The Zhou cemented their rule with the use of feudalism and a concept called the Mandate of Heaven. This meant that the power was granted from the gods for a certain group to rule. Feudalism will be explained further on, but eventually rival leaders challenged the power of the king. This led to the period of time called the Warring States period. Next on the list is feudalism. Although we learn more about feudalism during medieval history, feudalism is a concept where the king owned all the land and gave pieces of it to his loyal supporters called lords, or nobles. This political and economic system rewarded lords with land and privileges in return for military protection for the king. When war broke out, all these lords would send their soldiers. People in feudalism had clearly defined roles in which they pledged loyalty to a lord in return for protection. At the bottom of this social hierarchy are the peasants who gave some of their crops to the lords. Next on the list is Confucianism. Confucianism was started by Confucius, who was the most renowned of all the ancient Chinese philosophers. The goal of Confucianism was to create a society of peace and justice. Understanding your role in life was key. People at the top must set good examples, and people at the bottom must respect and obey those above them. Confucius' sayings were kept in a book called the Analects. Confucianism was used by the civil service to train future bureaucrats in China. Here is a quote by Confucius. "The gentleman first practices what he preaches, and then preaches what he practices." The next Chinese philosophy is Taoism, or Taoism spelled with a T. Taoism was another philosophy that tried to answer the question of how to live correctly and how to have a good government. The founder of Taoism was probably Lao-tzu. He wrote a work called the Tao Te Ching. The work preached a return to a simpler way of life and to be in harmony with nature. Taoists believe that life is full of opposites, such as light and dark, or life and death. Harmony comes from balancing these forces. This was symbolized with the yin and yang symbol. Here's a famous quote from Taoist beliefs. "Governing is like frying a small fish. You spoil it with too much poking." The third Chinese philosophy is called legalism. Legalism is a Chinese philosophy that stresses the use of strict laws. Legalism was based on the teachings of Hanfeizi, who lived from 280 to 233 BCE. The book he wrote was named after himself, the Hanfeizi. Legalists believed that people were selfish and left unsupervised would not do what was best for the common good. This is why people who followed rules should be rewarded and those who disobeyed rules should be punished. A famous quote from his book reads, "He who trusts others will be controlled by others." After the Warring State period, Qin Shi Huang would rule using this strict philosophy. So in summary, the Chinese, just like governments of today, struggled to find a perfect solution for how to govern over people. This list covered 5 key areas: the Zhou Dynasty, Feudalism, Confucianism, Taoism, and Legalism. If you like this list, please subscribe to my channel.